Hi, Cules. Hold on tight, because today I bring you the summer soap opera, FC Barcelona's best-kept secret. A move so fast and discreet that even James Bond couldn't have orchestrated it better. We're talking about the express recruitment to fill the void left by Iñigo Martínez, a defender who, listen up, has left for Al Nassr to enjoy the Saudi sun and a contract that, let's just say, won't make him miss Iberian ham. But don't worry, Barça isn't sitting idle, and what happened behind the scenes deserves an espionage film with touches of Blaugrana comedy. So get comfortable, because I'm going to tell you how this thunderbolt was prepared, with all the juicy details that make football so much more than a sport. It's a drama, a circus, and a game of chess, all in one. We're in the middle of August 2025. The heat is stifling Barcelona, and the Spotify camp, still under construction, looks like an anthill of workers racing against the clock to get the Cule Temple ready for September 14th. But in the club's offices, the atmosphere is even more frantic. Iñigo Martínez, that rugged central defender who seemed like a Viking defending his box, announces his departure. Boom. A crushing blow. The man who had won the affection of the fans with his aggression and headed clearances, which looked like guided missiles, decides to accept an offer from Al Nassr. Rumor has it the Sheikh presented him with a check with so many zeros that even Barca's accountant got dizzy. But let's not digress, because we're not here to talk about petrodollars, but about how the club mobilized at the speed of LAMINE YAMAL in a sprint to plug this hole in the defense. President Joan Laporta, with his shark smile and his talent for getting out of any mess, calls an emergency meeting. Picture the scene: Deco, the sporting director, coffee in hand and phone smoking. Hansi Flick, the coach, with his serious German demeanor but a glint in his eyes that says, "I'll fix this." And a few recruiters who look like they've just come out of a Netflix marathon, dark circles under their eyes but full of ideas. The mission is clear: find a replacement for Iñigo who is solid, young, promising, and, above all, doesn't cost an arm and a leg, because UEFA's financial fair play is as strict as that teacher who fails you for a decimal point. The first question that arises in the room is, who? The market isn't exactly overflowing with elite central defenders ready to rush to Barca. Plus, the club had already spent a pretty penny on Joan Garcia, the Espanyol goalkeeper, and on the loan of Marcus Rashford, who arrived from Manchester United with more drama than a telenovela. But Deco, who has an address book as thick as a 90s phone book, pulls an ace from his sleeve. Guys, what if we look toward France? Silence in the room. Flick raises an eyebrow, Laporta takes a sip of his sparkling water, and everyone looks at each other as if someone had just suggested that the next Clásico be played on Barceloneta Beach. It turns out Deco had been keeping an eye on a certain Jean-Claire Todibo, a familiar face at Barca. Yes, the same Todibo who played for the club between 2019 and 2021. That French central defender who seemed like a gazelle on the field but never really broke through due to lack of playing time. Now, in 2025, Todibo is a star at OGC Nice, at 27 years old, at the peak of his career, and with a rating that puts him in the orbit of several European giants. But here's the best part. Deco has insider information. Nice is ready to negotiate, and Todibo, who has never forgotten his days at La Masia, would be delighted to come home. It's like getting back together with your ex, but this time you know it's going to work, jokes one of the recruiters, and everyone laughs. Though Flick keeps his poker face. The plan begins to take shape, but there's a problem: time. It's early August, the transfer window closes in a few weeks, and UEFA is watching every euro Barca spends. Laporta, who at this moment looks more like a magician than a president, says, "Don't worry, I'll take care of fair play." And that's when the club's financial team enters the scene, a group of brains who seem to have walked out of a Wall Street movie, manipulating numbers as if they were playing Tetris. Meanwhile, Deco and his team start negotiations with Nice. The first calls are tense. The French are asking for 40 million euros, a sum that, in Barca's current context, sounds like asking a student to pay for a yacht. But Deco doesn't give up. He knows Todibo is the perfect piece: fast, strong, good with the ball, and with League One experience. And if you're already freaking out at how this transfer is shaping up, subscribe to the Cule channel, because this is just the beginning, and what's coming is even stronger. Don't miss it. The negotiations are moving at lightning speed. Nice lowers its demands to 30 million plus bonuses, and Barca begins to see the light at the end of the tunnel. But there's a catch. Manchester United is also interested in Todibo. Yes, the English, who seem to have a radar for inserting themselves into all of Barca's transfers, start making noise. Deco, who isn't afraid, decides to play his trump card, a direct call to Todibo. Jan, do you want to be a substitute at Old Trafford or the leader of Barca's defense? He hits him with that mix of charisma and pressure that only Deco knows how to handle. Todibo, who still has a Barca jersey from his old days in his closet, doesn't hesitate. I want to come back, he replies. And that, Kules, is the moment when the Blaugrana machine kicks into full gear. Meanwhile, in the locker room, the news of Iñigo Martínez's departure hits like a bomb. Pau Cubarsí, the young central defender who seems like a veteran at 18, is ready to take on more responsibility, but Flick knows he needs a reliable partner. Ronald Araujo, who remains the boss of the defense, is back from his physical issues and ready to lead, but the coach doesn't want to take the risk of relying solely on Cubarsí's youth and Chadi Riyad's versatility. Todibo, with his experience and knowledge of the club, fits like a glove. Plus, Flick, obsessed with tactics, sees in the Frenchman the ideal central defender for his system. Someone who can build from the back but is also a wall in aerial duels. In the offices, Laporta and his team are working against the clock to balance the books. This is where Barca's financial magic comes into play, that ability to juggle money in a way that would leave any economist speechless. By selling Pau Victor to SC Braga for 12 million plus bonuses and terminating Clement Lenglet's contract, the club frees up some wage space. Additionally, the renewed agreement with Nike and the Spotify sponsorship inject a bit of oxygen into the coffers. But it's not that simple. UEFA, which seems to have a special radar for Barca's moves, demands that the club register the new recruits before the deadline. Laporta, with his usual optimism, says during a meeting, "It's like playing poker, but I always have an ace up my sleeve." And everyone laughs, though no one knows if he's joking or if he really has a secret plan. Back on the pitch, because while all this drama unfolds in the offices, the team is in the middle of pre-season. The Asian tour was a success, with victories that made the fans dream. LAMINE YAMAL, who at 18 already seems like Messi's heir, is driving opposing defenders crazy. Rafinha, who has rediscovered his best form, has become the leader of the attack alongside Lewandowski, who continues to score as if he were 25. And Rashford, the new recruit, is starting to fit in, even if he still seems a bit lost with Flick's style. But the defense, the defense. Without Iñigo, there's a gap that worries the Kules. Fans on social media are already speculating. Cubarsí and Araujo alone? With Eric Garcia as a centre-back again? Theories are flying, but at the club, they know Todibo is the solution. The key moment arrives. It's August 10th, and negotiations with Nice are about to conclude. Deco reaches an agreement for €28 million plus 5 in bonuses, a bargain for a defender of Todibo's quality. But there's one last obstacle. Manchester United makes a last-minute offer, trying to convince the Frenchman with an astronomical salary. That's when the emotional factor comes into play. Todibo, who never forgot his time at Barca, talks with his family and decides he wants to come home. "Barca is the club of my heart," he says in a private interview that, of course, leaks to the press. The Kules go wild on social media, and the memes don't take long to appear. Todibo returns like the prodigal son, but this time without the security blanket, jokes a Twitter user. On August 11th, Barca officially announces the signing. Jean-Claire Todibo returns to FC Barcelona with a contract until 2030, and the fans are overjoyed. Social media fills with videos of his best moments at Nice, where he's seen intercepting balls like a ninja and launching attacks as if he had a GPS in his cleats. Flick, during the press conference before the first La Liga match against Mallorca, drops one of his typical lines: "Todibo will bring us solidity and quality. He's an excellent signing." And though the German isn't one to laugh often, a small smile escapes, which says a lot. But, Kules, it's not that simple. Registering Todibo remains a headache. UEFA, which seems to take pleasure in putting sticks in Barca's wheels, demands that the club adjust its wage bill. Laporta, who at this point already looks like an expert in financial escapology, manages to strike a last-minute deal with a minor sponsor and frees up the necessary space. On August 12th, just before I sit down to write this story, Todibo is officially registered. The relieved fans, and on the Ramblas, you can already see jerseys with the Frenchman's name, though some still ask him to cut his hair for the good of the team. And if this soap opera keeps you on the edge of your seat, subscribe to the Kules channel, because what you're about to see isn't broadcast on the news. The 2025-26 season promises strong emotions, and we'll tell you all about it here. Now, with Todibo in the squad, Barça has a luxury defense. Araujo, Cubarsí, Riyad, and Todibo form a quartet that strikes fear. Flick, obsessed with balance, is already designing a defense that combines youth and experience, with Todibo as the anchor that will allow the team to build from the back. In today's training session, the Frenchman was already seen joking with Yamal and giving advice to Cubarsí, who looks at him like a big brother. The chemistry is there, and the Cules are starting to dream of a season where Barça won't just defend the La Liga title but will also fight in the Champions League. But not everything is rosy. Some fans wonder if Todibo will live up to expectations. His first spell at Barça wasn't a fairy tale, and some fear the pressure of the Camp Nou might weigh on him. However, the Todibo of 2025 is not the same as the one from 2019. At Nice, he became a leader, a complete defender who combines physicality, technique, and game reading. Moreover, Flick trusts him, and if the German trusts someone, it's because he knows they will perform. Jan is a top-level player, and he will prove it, the coach declares in an interview, and the Cules, used to surprises, are starting to get excited. On social media, the debate is on. Some compare Todibo to Puyol for his aggression, others to Pique for his elegance with the ball. The memes don't stop. There's one going around with Todibo dressed as a medieval knight, defending the Camp Nou like a castle. But beyond the jokes, what's clear is that Barça has pulled off a masterstroke with this signing. In a market where quality centre-backs cost a fortune, getting Todibo for less than 30 million is a real bargain. And as I write these lines, the team is preparing for the first La Liga match against Mallorca. Todibo, who is already training with the group, could get some minutes. Though Flick will probably choose Araujo and Cubarsí as starters, the Frenchman is ready to seize any opportunity, and the Cules are already dreaming of seeing him intercept balls at the Camp Nou, with the stadium roaring like in the good old days. The 2025-26 season is about to begin, and with Todibo in the squad, Barça has reasons to be excited. That's how, Cules, the express recruitment that brought serenity back to the Blaugrana defense was forged. A fast, clever move with a touch of magic, like everything Barça does when things get complicated. Now, all that's left is to wait for Todibo to put on the jersey, step onto the pitch, and prove he's back to stay, because if this club has one ability, it's to reinvent itself, surprise us, and make us dream. Cules, we're still here, hearts pounding for the lightning-fast signing of Jean-Claire Todibo, that central defender who returned to Barça like the hero of a novel coming back to the village after years of adventure. The emotion is in the air, and though the Camp Nou isn't ready to welcome us yet, in the streets of Barcelona, you can already feel that pre-match atmosphere, that excitement only Cules know what it means. But how could this transfer be wrapped up so quickly? What happened during the most intense hours of negotiations? And most importantly, how is Todibo fitting into a dressing room full of young talents and veterans hungry for titles? Hold on tight, because we're continuing to unravel this saga with more details than a threaded pass from PEDRI. We're still on August 12, 2025, and while fans are glued to their phones waiting for official news, in Barça's offices, the adrenaline isn't wearing off. The deal with OGC Nice is already signed, but the registration process is like trying to solve a Rubik's Cube blindfolded. UEFA, which seems to have a special radar for making Barça's life difficult, continues to monitor the club's every financial move. Joan Laporta, with that mix of charisma and audacity that defines him, is in his office juggling numbers. Rumor has it he spent the entire morning on the phone talking to sponsors, banks, and even a distant cousin who knows someone at UEFA. If we have to move heaven and earth, we will, he says, according to an internal source we won't reveal, of course, because this isn't an episode of CSI. Meanwhile, Deco is in multitasking mode. On one hand, he's coordinating with the legal team to ensure all the transfer documents are in order. On the other, he's in touch with Todibo's agent, a guy who seems straight out of a mafia movie, with an impeccable suit and a French accent that makes everything sound more important than it is. The agent insists on guarantees for playing time, something Deco can't promise 100%, because Hansi Flick is the type who makes players earn their spot through hard work. But Deco, who could sell ice to Eskimos, tells him, relax, at Barça, if you're good, you play. And Jan is very good. The agent nods, and the deal moves one step forward. On the training pitch, the Ciutat Esportiva Joan Gamper is a hive of activity. The players are preparing for the match against Mallorca, and though the news of Todibo's signing isn't yet official to the public, in the dressing room, everyone already knows. Cules are like that. Rumors spread faster than Usain Bolt. Ronald Araujo, who is acting as captain in Ter Stegen's absence, is the first to welcome Todibo. Word is he gave him one of those bone-crushing hugs and said, "Welcome, Frenchman. Here, we defend until the last second." Todibo, who isn't the type to back down, replies with a smile and calm confidence, "I'm here to devour the world." The chemistry between the two central defenders is already starting to build, and teammates, especially the younger ones like Pau Cubarsí, watch with curiosity. Cubarsí, by the way, is having a great moment. At his age, the guy seems like a veteran, with a composure on the field that recalls the great defenders of the past, but he also knows Todibo's arrival is an opportunity to learn. During a defensive drill in training, Cubarsí is seen talking to the Frenchman, asking for advice on how to anticipate fast attackers. Todibo, who has an affable but firm personality, tells him, "Watch their eyes, not their feet. The eyes never lie." Cubarsí nods. And the Cules watching from the stands, yes, some lucky ones manage to sneak in, begin to dream of a defense that combines Pau's youth with Todibo's experience and Araujo's aggression. And speaking of dreams, if this story of intrigue in football gives you chills, subscribe to the Cule channel, because what's coming next is pure spectacle, and you won't want to miss it. That's Barça for you, and there's always more. Back to the offices, because while the team trains, the real match is being played with calculators and contracts. Barça's financial team, led by an economist who seems straight out of a Christopher Nolan film, is working on a plan to free up more wage space. The sale of Pau Victor to SC Braga already provided some breathing room, but it's not enough. That's when another masterful operation comes into play, the transfer of Alex Valle to Como 1907 for €6 million. Valle, a left-back with a lot of potential but no place in Flick's plans, leaves with a buyback clause that could bring him back in the future. Cules on social media are divided. Some regret the departure of another La Masia product, while others applaud the club's cleverness in generating income without touching the jewels of La Masia like YAMAL or GAVI. With the money from Valle and a few additional adjustments, Barça manages to convince UEFA that Todibo can be registered, but don't think it was easy. According to a source close to the club, there was a tense video call with UEFA inspectors, where Laporta pulled out all his charm. They say he even brought out a bottle of cava and toasted virtually to the future of European football. No one knows if it was the cava or the numbers, but in the end, UEFA gives the green light. Todibo is officially cleared to play, and fans begin to imagine him in the Blaugrana jersey, intercepting balls like a samurai. In the dressing room, Todibo's arrival doesn't just strengthen the defense, it also brings a breath of fresh air. The Frenchman has a personality that fits perfectly with the group. During a break in training, he's seen joking with Rafinha about who has the best taste in sneakers. Rafinha, who's a real showman, shows him shoes that look like they came straight off a runway, and Todibo quips, "You don't even wear those to the club, mate." The others burst out laughing, and even Flick, who is usually more serious than a referee in a Clásico, cracks a smile. The Frenchman's integration is going wonderfully, and younger players like GAVI and PEDRI see him as a reference figure for his experience in France. Speaking of Flick, the coach is thrilled with his new toy. During a tactical session, he's seen explaining to Todibo how he wants him to position himself for the build-up play. "You are the first passer, January. I'm counting on you to launch the attacks," he tells him. Todibo, who at Nice was already used to initiating play from the back, nods confidently. The Cules watching the training sessions via streaming. Yes, Barça now broadcasts some sessions to keep fans hooked, can't stop commenting on social media, "This Todibo is a machine, he's going to be the new peak." Others, more cautious, say, "Hold on, he needs to prove it on the pitch first." But what's clear is that the excitement is at its peak, and for good reason, because the upcoming schedule is thrilling. The opening match against Mallorca is just an appetizer. Then there's Valencia in the renovated Camp Nou, followed by clashes against Real Madrid, Atletico, and the start of the Champions League. Flick knows he needs a solid defense, and Todibo is the piece that completes the puzzle. During a media exchange, the German drops a line that electrifies the fans. "With Jan, our defense will be like a fortress." The Cules, who have been dreaming for years of an impenetrable defense, begin to imagine a trio of Araujo, Todibo, Cubarsí that will strike fear into opposing attackers. But it's not just about tactics and training. In the streets of Barcelona, the fans are living a moment of contained euphoria. The city's bars are filled with debates. Will he start over Kubarsi? Could Condé return as a right back now that there are more options in the center? In a bar near the Sagrada Familia, a group of cules spends the afternoon analyzing videos of Todibo at Nice. Look how he cuts off that ball. He's like a ninja, says one. Yeah, but at Barça, the pressure is different, replies another, more skeptical. Meanwhile, the club's official shops are already preparing jerseys with the number 23, which seems to be the one chosen by Todibo, though it's not yet confirmed. On social media, the signing is generating a lot of buzz. The memes don't stop. There's one showing Todibo arriving at the Camp Nou in a spaceship with the caption, "The Return of the Jedi." Another compares his return to Cesc Fabregas's, but with less drama. Beyond the jokes, the fans are grateful for the club's swift action. This is the real Barça. When there's a problem, we solve it in style, writes a user on X, and they're not wrong. In a summer where everything seemed to complicate with the departure of Iñigo Martínez and Ter Stegen's injuries, the club has maneuvered like a fish in water. And if this saga has hooked you, subscribe to the Cule channel, because here, we tell you the behind-the-scenes stories of Barça like no one else. Don't miss any detail of this season, which promises to be epic. Meanwhile, at the Ciutat Esportiva, Todibo is already carving out a place among his teammates. During a small training match, he's seen marking Lewandowski, who tries to dribble past him. The Pole, who is a killer, attempts a feint, but Todibo doesn't fall for it and cleanly steals the ball with a perfect tackle. His teammates applaud, and Lewandowski, with that mix of pride and good humor, tells him, "Watch out, Frenchman, next time I'll nutmeg you." The scene is pure Barça. Healthy competition, laughter, and an atmosphere that makes fans dream. Even Marcus Rashford, who is still adapting to the Blaugrana style, approaches Todibo to congratulate him. "Good job, mate," he says in English, and the Frenchman responds with a wink. Off the field, Todibo's impact is also being felt. The club sponsors are delighted with the signing, as the Frenchman has international appeal. In France, where he's an idol after his time at Nice, TV channels are already talking about the prodigal son's return. In England, where Manchester United is left wanting, the tabloids can't stop regretting the missed opportunity. And in Barcelona, fans are already planning how to welcome Todibo at the first home game. Some suggest a typo with the phrase, "Welcome, Jan," while others prefer something more classic, like an ovation that shakes the stadium. Within the technical staff, Todibo's arrival has also brought changes. Flick, obsessed with details, has asked his analysts to prepare a comprehensive report on the Frenchman. They want to know everything, from his top speed to how he positions himself on corners. The data is impressive. In League One, Todibo averaged 2.8 interceptions per game, 3.5 clearances, and an 89% pass completion rate. Additionally, his ability to win aerial duels, 68% success rate, makes him the perfect complement to Araujo, who is a beast in the air. Barca's analysts are enthusiastic, and one of them jokes, with Todibo and Araujo, opposing attackers will need a parachute to jump. But it's not just about tactics. On a human level, Todibo shows he's a down-to-earth guy. During a photo session for the club, he's seen posing in the new jersey featuring the renewed Nike logo and the Spotify badge. The photographers ask him to do something special for social media, and Todibo, with a mischievous smile, mimes intercepting a ball with his hands, like a chef chopping vegetables. The video goes viral in less than an hour, and the Cules already adopt this gesture as the new symbol of the Frenchman. "This guy has charisma, he's going to become an idol," writes a fan on X, and it's not an exaggeration. On the horizon, the opening match against Mallorca is approaching. Flick hasn't yet confirmed if Todibo will start, but rumors suggest he might come on in the second half to get up to speed. Meanwhile, fans are organizing gatherings to watch the match in bars across the city. In one near Plaça de Catalunya, a group of Cules is already planning chants for Todibo. "Jan, Jan, the French wall," suggests one. The others laugh, clinking their beers. The excitement is in the air, and though the Camp Nou isn't ready yet, the Cules know this season will be special. In the offices, Laporta and Deco are already thinking about the next step. With Todibo in the squad, Barça has a guaranteed defense, but the transfer window isn't over. There are rumors that the club is eyeing a young left-back to compete with Bald, though nothing is concrete yet. What's clear is that Todibo's signing was a masterstroke, a demonstration that Barça, even in tough times, knows how to maneuver like no one else. And as the fans dream of a season full of titles, Todibo prepares for his second stint at the club with the determination of someone who knows this is his big opportunity. So, Kules, we continue to live this saga that never stops surprising us. Barça has wrapped up an express signing that promises a lot of joy, and Jean-Claire Todibo is ready to write a new chapter in Blaugrana history. Because in this club, when things get complicated, there's always someone to remind us why we are Mais qu'un club. Kules, we're still here, hearts racing with the arrival of Jean-Claire Todibo, that central defender who returned to Barça like the favorite cousin coming back to the family reunion with new stories and the aura of a star. August 12, 2025, is a day of madness in the Blaugrana universe. And while the announcement of the signing has already made waves around the world, there are countless details we haven't explored yet. From the behind-the-scenes negotiations to the reactions in the dressing room and the fans' expectations, this story has more layers than a Catalan onion. So, without moving an inch from this moment, let's dive into the details that make this signing an Oscar-worthy saga. Join me, because it's getting more and more exciting. At the Ciutat Esportiva Joan Gamper, the atmosphere is a mix of focus and excitement. The players are in the middle of a training session, and though the match against Mallorca is just around the corner, Todibo's arrival has injected an extra dose of energy into one corner of the pitch. While the fitness coaches run the players like they're training for a marathon, you can see Todibo chatting with Alejandro Bald. The left-back, who has made giant strides in recent seasons, seems intrigued by the Frenchman. Bald, with his good-natured smile, asks him what Ligue 1 is like, and Todibo, with his characteristic calm, tells him an anecdote about a duel with Mbappé where he almost made him fall with a feint. Almost, that guy is faster than a rocket, Todibo jokes, and Bald bursts out laughing, a sound that echoes across the field. The Kules watching the training session via streaming can't help but comment, "We already have a new bromance on the team." In the coaching staff, Hansi Flick's assistants are working tirelessly to integrate Todibo into the team's tactical system. The German, known for his obsession with detail, has requested a specific analysis of how the Frenchman can complement the other central defenders. On a digital board, the analysts draw up schemes that look like they came straight out of a NASA lab. The idea is clear: Todibo won't just be a defensive wall, but also the first link in offensive actions. His ability to break lines with long passes, something he perfected at Nice, is exactly what Flick wants for a team that seeks to dominate possession and surprise with quick transitions. One of the assistants, a young analyst who seems to never sleep, shows Flick a video of Todibo launching a counterattack with a 40-meter pass that caught the opposing attacker offside. Flick nods with that, "This is exactly what we need," expression, and jots something down in his notebook, probably a plan to turn Todibo into the brain of the defense. Meanwhile, in the club's offices, the communications team is buzzing with activity. The announcement of the signing was a hit on social media, but now they need to capitalize on it. The marketing department, always keeping an eye on revenue, is planning a virtual presentation for Todibo since the Camp Nou is still under construction. The idea is to do something simple but impactful, a video where the Frenchman tours the Ciutat Esportiva facilities, with images from his first stint at the club mixed with recent highlights from Nice. The script includes a line that's already generating buzz: "I'm coming home to make history." The Kules on X are going wild, and some are already editing homemade videos with Sweet Caroline playing in the background, because of course, fans always know how to add an epic touch to everything. And if this move gets you as fired up as if you were in the stands at the Camp Nou, subscribe to the Kule channel, because here, we tell you Barca's secrets with more passion than a last-minute goal. Don't miss what's coming next. Among the fans, the Todibo fever has reached stratospheric levels. In the WhatsApp groups of the Kule Penis, the messages won't stop. Some suggest naming a new chant, Todibo, oh, the Frenchman who came back. Others, more pragmatic, discuss how he'll fit into the lineup. One self-proclaimed football manager expert insists Todibo will be an undisputed starter alongside Araujo, with Cubarsí as a luxury substitute. Another, more nostalgic, remembers the Frenchman's first spell at Barça and says, if they'd given him more minutes, he never would have left. But what everyone agrees on is that this signing sends a message to the world: Barça is back and won't let Iñigo Martínez's departure slow them down. In the dressing room, the dynamic is fascinating. GAVI, who is all nerves, has already challenged Todibo to a one-on-one in the next training session. "Let's see if you can steal the ball from me, Frenchman," he says with that never-ending puppy energy. Todibo, who doesn't back down, accepts the challenge and promises, "I'll send you into the stands with a little nutmeg." The other players, used to GAVI's antics, laugh and start betting on who will win the duel. Even Lewandowski, who usually stays out of these jokes, gets involved and says, "I'll bet €10 on Todibo." The scene reflects the great atmosphere in the team, something the Kules appreciate as much as a Rafinha goal at the Bernabeu. But it's not all laughs and jokes. On the tactical side, Flick is working to make the most of Todibo's strengths. During a video session, the coach shows the team a montage of nice actions where the Frenchman shines by intercepting balls and distributing with precision. "This is what I want to see," Flick says, pointing to a play where Todibo recovers the ball in the box and turns it into an attack with a pinpoint pass. The players, especially the younger ones like Casado and Marc Guiu, take notes. Casado, who is emerging as a midfield linchpin, seems particularly interested in how to connect with Todibo during the build-up. The two have already had several discussions in training, and word is that Flick is designing a system where the pivot and the central defender work like a Swiss watch. Off the field, the impact of the signing is also being felt in the press. Catalan media like Sport and Mundo Deportivo are dedicating their front pages to Todibo. "The French Wall," headlines one. "The return that changes everything," says another. But not everyone is as optimistic. Some journalists, especially those covering Manchester United, claim Todibo chose Barça out of nostalgia but would have been a starter at Old Trafford. The Kules, who never stay quiet, respond with a flood of memes, including one where Todibo appears saying, "No, thanks, I prefer the son of Barcelona." The Twitter war is epic, and the fans are loving every second of it. On the financial front, the signing of Todibo isn't just a sporting move, it's strategic. The 28 million plus bonuses the Frenchman cost is a bargain in a market where quality central defenders sell for double. Deco, who is receiving applause for his management, has shown he has a special knack for finding opportunities. According to an internal source, the sporting director had Todibo in his sights months ago when he learned Iñigo Martínez might leave. "Deco is like a hunter, he's always one step ahead," says a staff member who prefers to remain anonymous, because at Barça, secrets are sacred. And speaking of secrets, a curious detail is circulating among club employees. It seems that during negotiations with Nice, Laporta insisted on including a special clause in Todibo's contract, a bonus for his leadership on the field. No one knows exactly what this means, but rumors suggest the president wants the Frenchman to be more than just a player, to become a figure who inspires the younger players. Some say Laporta sees Todibo as a potential future captain, someone who could take over from Araujo or Jordi Alba if needed. It's an ambitious idea, but at Barça, dreaming big is part of the DNA. During the afternoon training session, Todibo is already beginning to show his quality. In a high-pressing drill, he is seen coordinating with Chadi Riyad to close down spaces. The two Frenchmen have a natural chemistry, perhaps because they share the same language and a sense of humor that includes mocking Rafinha's musical tastes. Apparently, the Brazilian is a fan of a pop group that no one else can stand. Riyad, who has played as both a central defender and a fullback in recent seasons, seems relieved by Todibo's arrival. "Finally, someone who understands me when I talk tactics," he jokes during a break. The Kules watching the training session via streaming are enthusiastic. Riyad at fullback and Todibo at centre-back, the perfect plan. And if this Blaugrana passion is getting to you, subscribe to the Kule channel, because here, we bring you the details you won't find anywhere else. Barça is on fire, and you won't want to miss out. In the offices, the communications team continues to work on the strategy to present Todibo. They've decided that, in addition to the video, there will be an exclusive interview on Barça TV, where the Frenchman will talk about his return. Word is that the interview will include a surprise, a recorded message from some of his former Nice teammates, wishing him luck in his new chapter. The marketing department is also preparing a social media campaign with the hashtag #TodiboVuelve, which is already starting to go viral. Fans are sharing photos from the Frenchman's first spell at the club, including an iconic image of him celebrating a goal in a pre-season match with an ear-to-ear smile. On a personal level, Todibo is using these first hours in Barcelona to settle in. Rumor has it he's rented an apartment in the Eixample, near where PEDRI lives, and has already eaten at a tapas restaurant recommended by Araujo. The servers, who are die-hard Kules, couldn't believe their eyes when he walked in. "He's huge, but really nice," one of them recounts in a WhatsApp group. Todibo, who speaks decent Spanish thanks to his first stint at the club, ordered a serving of patatas bravas and joked with the servers about the spiciness. "It's nothing compared to the tackles in League One," he said. The anecdote is already making the rounds in the city, and the Cules are delighted by the Frenchman's natural charm. On the horizon, anticipation for Todibo's debut is growing. Though Flick hasn't yet confirmed whether he'll play against Mallorca, the club's analysts are convinced the Frenchman will get minutes soon. During a meeting with his staff, the coach requested simulations of how a defense with Todibo, Araujo, and Cubarsí in rotation would function. The data is promising. With Todibo's speed and Araujo's aggression, Barça could reduce goals conceded by 15% compared to last season. Additionally, the Frenchman's ability to read the game could help neutralize fast attackers like Vinicius or Dembélé, who are always a headache. In the streets of Barcelona, the fans are experiencing a moment of unity. In a bar near the Arc de Triomphe, a group of Cules is organizing a gathering to watch the match against Mallorca. They've decided to bring old Barça jerseys with the names of Pique and Puyol, in homage to the tradition of great central defenders. Todibo has to earn his place, but he looks good, says one of the organizers, who is wearing a club scarf despite the 30-degree heat. Cule passion doesn't know the meaning of heat, and Todibo's arrival has given the fans one more reason to dream. At the club, Laporta and Deco are already looking to the future. Though Todibo's signing has been a success, they know the season will be long, and any injury or suspension could complicate things. That's why there are rumors that the club is scouting a few young players in South America, though nothing is concrete for now. What's clear is that Barça has pulled off a masterstroke with this move. Todibo isn't just a signing, he's a statement of intent. The club is ready to compete at the highest level, and no one will stop them. So, Cules, we are immersed in this story that has us all on the edge of our seats. Jean-Claire Todibo has returned to stay, and Barça, with its mix of talent, passion, and a touch of madness, is ready to write a new chapter in its legend. Visca el Barça, and may the party never stop.